which are terrible children names. Don't name your kids these things.
I mean, they name their kids Sword, Shield, and Dagger, so...
Yeah. Lance, Shield, and Dagger.
Yeah, Lance, Shield, and Dagger.
Yeah.
So, you know...
Welcome to Evening with an Artist, a podcast created by students for students, where animation junkies Jordyn and Rich geek out about animation, interview industry professionals, and ask the questions you want answered. I'm Rich, and I love cartoons.
I'm Jordyn, and I make cartoons.
Welcome to our episode on Maya and the Three, the limited series on Netflix, created and directed by Jorge Gutierrez. Mm-hmm. We're going to review the entire series in this one episode.
That's right. Maya and the Three is a limited series that you can find on Netflix. Obviously, we're going to be getting into all the spoilers, and everything we say is our own opinion, so yes. Just be aware of that before you listen.
But big spoiler alert. Watch it before you listen to this.
Exactly.
Unless you really don't want to watch it and you just want someone to tell you everything that happens, then you're in the right place.
Exactly. We're going to go over it really quickly. We're going to talk about production. We're going to talk about the story and plot synopsis, predictions and stuff that we had. We're going to go over the characters, the animation style, principles at play, and the mood and the theme of the general show itself. And it's going to be a fun time.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
Awesome. I'm excited.
So, do you want to hit it off with the plot summary real quick?
Yeah, so real quick plot synopsis. I'll try to keep it as quick as possible because a lot of things happen and they happen in weird orders. And so we're just going to try and break it down. So the premise is that there's this prophecy in this made up Mesoamerican inspired world. And there's a prophecy that this great eagle warrior with these three jaguar warriors will come together to defeat the Lord of the Underworld. So this prophecy is very big in this one kingdom of Tekka, which is where our title characters are all from. There are 4 lands in this place. There's the Tekkan Kingdom. There's the Luna Islands, which are basically on the moon.
Yeah.
There's the Jungle Lands.
Yep. And it's
mountains?
the mountains.
Yeah, the Barbarian Mountains.
The Barbarian Mountains. That's
We're going to call them that. And then there's also the Underworld, which is a 5th place, but that's a different place. So there's this prophecy that this is going to happen. Very early on, we find that that's not the true prophecy. When someone comes to tell our title character, Maya, that she's going to be taken and sacrificed to the Lord of the Underworld, go off to fight and try and close the gate to the Underworld and are quickly dispatched. And it turns out that the real prophecy is that this eagle warrior will find 3 warriors to go along with them. And so they're not all jaguars. It turns out there's a rooster and there's a skull. And there's a puma. And that's where things...
Yeah. So, so basically the prophecy, which Maya deems is all about her, is that she is the eagle warrior and she has to go collect these warriors to bring an end to the lords of the underworld and bring peace and prosperity back to humanity.
Which it seems to have already.
It basically was in harmony up until her quinceañera, where at her coronation she found out that the Lord, the god of war of the underworld, wanted to sacrifice her. We find out much later the reason for the sacrifice on his side is whoever sacrifices Maya, who turns out to be half god, half human, becomes basically the most powerful god of all. And Lord Mictlan is obsessed with power, so he wants to sacrifice Maya for himself. His wife, Lady Micte, long ago, who was fearful of her husband's power, decided to
lust for more power.
Yes, she decided to have this demigod child. She decided to have Maya, so she actually had Maya with the Tekkan King, King Tekka. So they had an affair.
So she wooed him. Through battle.
Yeah. She had Maya, so the original idea was she was trying to have Maya for her to sacrifice for herself so she could be stronger than her husband and she wouldn't have to be afraid of him. But then, of course, once she was pregnant and had given birth, she fell in love with Maya, and she decided that she would give her to the Tekkas to keep her safe, and she convinced her husband that this was a good idea because she convinced him that waiting until her 15th birthday would mean that she would be even more powerful and thus an even greater sacrifice.
Yeah.
So he would just be all powerful. The majority of the series is Maya searching for the warriors from the different lands. She's gathering them up. She meets a lot of gods that are sent from the underworld on the way trying to stop her. And it all comes to a close at the end when, of course, she's head-to-head with Lord Miklan.
Yes. Yes, she runs into all these gods because Lord Miklan basically sends them all out to collect her. And they all try in their own ways to collect her. And most of them have secret plans to sacrifice her themselves so that they can get the power. But it never ends up that way.
Yeah. All right, cool. So we'll leave the plot synopsis at that. It's very fast, but obviously you've already seen it.
So what drives the story? What is the main story engine behind this?
It was basically, I mean, I will say, like, I want to point out, like, a very, like, big theme in the story is, like, that of, like honor and battle and stuff. It's something that one of the characters, which we'll talk about, Zad's Lord of Bats, Prince of Bats. You know, he's always talks about fighting honorably, and you know, all of the warriors of Tekka and everyone they're all about being an honorable warrior and like fighting for a good cause and the glory of battle and all of that. In terms of what drives the story, I don't know. That was one theme that like was pretty prevalent, at least in the beginning of the show.
I definitely agree that Zatz is that honorable. Tekkens, they're all for glory of battle. I don't know how much honor. I don't even know if it matters what they're fighting for. I think they just want to fight. You know, kind of like
but I don't think they'd like stab someone in the back or anything like that.
No, yeah, probably.
They're not like dirty fighters.
Yeah.
There's
no glory in a dirty kill.
Yeah.
That's true.
But again, like, you know, the whole idea of the prophecy is what keeps the characters moving forward and keeps the plot moving forward.
Yeah, that's what really drives the story.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like a one-off, because once the prophecy is fulfilled, there's no more story to tell, right? So
exactly.
There won't be any more seasons or
Correct.
anything.
It's just a limited 9-episode series. They wrapped it up really nice at the end, put a little ribbon on it. It was done.
Nice.
Let's talk about the characters, and then that'll kind of like pull in along with like some of the plot twists and predictions, I think.
Yeah, let's try and do it like that. Okay, so characters, we'll open with Maya, voiced by Zoe Saldana, who was also Gamora in the Guardians of the Galaxy and Avengers movies. People probably recognize her, but not in this because it's just her voice and she sounds generic. Maya is very impetuous. She was very leaning, more towards her father than her mother, Queen Tekka, who is trying to raise her up to be a level-headed diplomat, whereas her father is always just like run and gun, into a blaze of glory. And it makes sense because we find out very early on that her mother is not her real mother. So she's basically half parts battle and half parts death. Yeah. Which makes for an interesting character.
It does.
But Maya is not that. I don't think she was an interesting character. Do you?
I mean, it's hard because, we want to preface this by saying, like, this is a kid's show for them. Well, or a family show. They have some very interesting themes that are, like, very adult that come up in this show, but they also do a lot to, like, feed the plot.
Yeah. It's very catered to kids, but also it doesn't shy away from death or adultery or certain things, which I think is kind of cool. But yeah, so for Maya, she's only 15, she's growing adult, she's like a rebellious teenager, so she's gonna be annoying. I kind of expected that. Do I resonate with the character? Not really. No.
Is her personality that interesting? Not really. stuff that's happening to her is interesting, but I am
Very
definitely way more into the sub characters than her herself.
She doesn't come off as relatable. Like, that's what I...
Yeah.
Yeah, she's very, like, she's so reckless that she's constantly putting her friends in danger, a lot of the time danger that they don't want to be in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, the entire show is just like her being self-serving, you know, throughout, and like regardless of what might happen to anybody else.
Yeah, she's really got like a one-track mind. She just has that mindset that she's got to kill like the god of war.
Yeah.
And this is something she doesn't even tell her companions.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it's driving her, and like...
Yes, because she gets them all to follow her on the premise that they're going to destroy the Divine Gate and close the door to the underworld so that the underworld gods can't get out. Really, she just wants to go in there and have a glorious battle against the literal god of war. She's a dickhead. I'm gonna say it.
And I mean, like, she's got a lot of fight in her. She is also an honorable fighter. Like, her first confrontation with a god was with a cat, the goddess of tattoos. And when a cat was lying, super badass. But like at the end, when a cat was lying there, you know, broken and unconscious, Maya refused to like strike her down.
Well, she stood over, you know, ready, poised to deliver the killing blow, and then decided not to.
Yeah.
Which was a lot of strength of character there.
Mm-hmm. So she has good attributes. She just wasn't particularly interesting to us.
Redeeming qualities.
Yeah, it wasn't. But you know, I think that sometimes that happens a lot for the hero of the story, because if they were flawed, then it would be too cheesy. If they weren't flawed, like it would be cheesy and uninteresting.
Yeah.
But being flawed, it can be hard to like. You're not always gonna be like on their side.
It's true, but like, in a story like this, proper character development like would be that there is a character who is flawed and then kind of learns to overcome that. I don't feel like this character evolved at any point until she became the sun. Like,
that's an interesting point.
She didn't grow.
I think I kind of agree with you. Not a lot. Like maybe slightly, but I think like mostly at the behest of her companions.
Yeah.
Like, if she didn't have them guiding her all the time, she would have, like, definitely run into a lot more problems. That's definitely true. I'll talk about her father and mother quickly.
Sure.
King Tekka is her...
Voiced by Jorge Gutierrez.
Voiced by Jorge Gutierrez, creator and director of the series, which is pretty cool. His character design is great. He's this massive guy that towers over everybody. He's got
massive shoulders.
Tiny
little feet.
Yeah, tiny little legs and feet. Like, you know, he's that upside down triangle, you know, where like he just gets smaller as he goes down. And he's great. He's always got his like eagle shaped armor on.
His hands are like bigger than his head. Like...
Yeah. He's just a big guy. And he's very silly and a little immature. Yeah. I think he's very
impulsive, right? And
very impulsive. You can definitely see him in Maya for sure. Yeah, he's just like all about battle and glory and the prophecy and all of that. But he's a good guy. Her mother, or like her honorary mother, is Queen Tekka. She's a lot like...
Voiced by Sandra Ikiha, I think?
Yes.
Something like that. Who is... Jorge Gutierrez's
wife, which is super cute. She did a lot of like character designs and stuff like that on the show. She was also a very big part of development in the show. So that's really cute. And the contrast between her and her husband is amazing. So she's like much smaller, very slight. I love the hair that they gave her. It's all adorned in ribbons and it like stretches out in tendrils to kind of look like eagle claws.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Her whole getup was based on traditional type clothing and stuff. So that was really cool. She's very like cool and collected and diplomatic, and she really tries to encourage Maya to not be impulsive and to be careful and to, you know, think before she acts, which is something Maya's not very good at. And she's also a little stern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we find out pretty early on that she is also a battle-hardened eagle warrior.
Yes. Yeah. So her past is very much she was an eagle warrior. She still has her armor, which she ends up giving to Maya. She's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. She's pretty cool.
Good character.
Yeah, she's a good character. Then there's King Tekka's three triplet sons.
Yes, the Jaguars.
The Jaguars.
Lance, Dagger, and Shield.
Yes. And they're funny because they're the exact same character design, obviously because they're triplets. The only difference is the color of the paint that adorns their faces and hands and weapon that they wield. And they're named after the weapon that they wield.
Yes, so that you can tell them apart.
Yeah, basically. Their time in the story is very short. They're just in the first couple of episodes, and then in the first battle, they perish.
Yeah.
But they're fun. They're like
they come back here and there, but
yeah,
you know,
they're like
dead.
the comedic relief. Like they're silly and
Yeah,
a
they're
little
very
dense.
two-dimensional.
Yeah, just like
they're not fleshed out.
no,
as
they're
characters.
not really. And yeah, they're always adorned in like jaguar fur.
Yeah.
And stuff. So I mean that's cool.
You gotta dress the part. So that's the Tekken family right there.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about Zats?
Yeah, we can talk about Zats. You want to go straight to Zats?
Yeah, let's go straight
Zats,
to Zats.
Prince of Bats.
Prince of Bats.
That's right. Good old Zats of
Yeah.
Bats.
Zats of Bats. Zats is great because like he comes on camera and he always does this hair flick.
Yeah.
With his little bang.
Suave
He's
hair flick.
Yeah. He thinks highly of himself.
Yeah. He really looks like if his hair was black instead of white, he'd be like super emo, but
yeah.
Yeah. He's got that sad like bangs over half his face, which is fair because he only has one eye.
Yeah,
so like
he's got an
he
eye
doesn't need
patch
the
he's
other
trying to
one.
cover. He's pretty cool. He's got a lot more of a richer character development that very slowly trickles in throughout the series.
Well, and it's interesting because like he doesn't really go through like character growth, but his character is revealed more and more. So they introduce him as an antagonistic character and then very quickly flip on that. And he's a supporting character through the whole thing.
For sure.
Even though Maya refuses to acknowledge him as that until all of a sudden she's super in love with him.
Yeah.
And it's stupid.
Yeah, it's a little... it gets really cheesy. You know, we'll talk about how the story is and stuff like that after we just breeze over the characters.
On the topic of Zats.
Yes.
And his eyeball.
Okay.
I don't remember ever seeing how he lost his eye.
We weren't shown, but
So
we know we were told that Lord Miklan took his eye because he was in the beginning first couple of episodes when we got to see clips of the underworld. We could start to see that Zats was starting to have a thing for Maya, and his father, Lord of Bats, who's literally a bat.
Yes.
What's his name? Sorry,
Camazotz.
Warns him, do you want Lord Miklan to take your other eye?
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to happen. Like, you need to just do what you're told. For many episodes, I was just waiting for a backstory episode on Zats. And it took till we got at the end. But, like, I really thought, I had originally predicted it was going to be pretty early on. And it wasn't.
No.
But basically, it just ties into, like, especially when they're really trying to push, like, how evil Lord Miklan is. But yeah, Zats turns out to be also a demigod like Maya. His father was Lord of Bats. His mother was a human. His mother died for fighting Lord Miklan when he was young. And she wanted his father
I think at that point they were probably trying to get Zats. Presumably. Like, they didn't really spell that out. But if anything, if he was also a demigod.
Yeah.
Then wouldn't Lord Miklan be trying to get him to sacrifice him so he could get the power?
I
guess not, because he could have sacrificed him any time.
He could have sacrificed him any time. So what I think happened is him like having control of the Lord of Bats and everything happened later. And he is aware that Zats is a demigod, but the technical part of the prophecy that says that whoever eats the soul of the demigod will become all-powerful, it has to be the demigod of death.
Right.
It has to be Lady Mikte's child.
Right.
With a human. Very specific.
I'm on board with that.
But so we see the backstory. His mom dies fighting Lord Miklan, and him and his father escape because she wants to make sure that Zats is okay, and she knows that he can protect him better than she could.
Yeah.
But yeah, Zats is really cool. He's like a very honorable fighter. He's like humorous. I love how he always kind of signs off with something with Maya. Like, you can very early on see like his affection for her, and he'll always say like, be well, Princess Maya, I'll see you later. And then he disappears. So he pops up almost every episode, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
To kind of help Maya along the way. And she's very resistant.
To be fair, he does admit at some point that his original plan was to get Maya and have his father sacrifice her so that he could take power from Lord Mictlan.
Yeah.
But he's just such a mushy softie.
Yeah.
And fell in love instead.
It's nice getting to the final episodes and starting to hear all the plots going on behind it. They're not all just dumbly following Lord Mictlan. They just don't have a choice.
Yeah.
So you're really starting to see that development of subplots within the other characters of the underworld much later on in the series. It's nice that we got to that point, because they just kind of feel constant drones just coming to get Maya, and then they don't get her. He's a cool character, and yes, eventually him and Maya have a romance, and it's cute. It's cheesy and cute. It doesn't come about great.
It doesn't really come about organically.
No.
Like, it seems
it doesn't.
Something that was forced from time constraints that didn't actually exist because it was a limited series and he could have taken as long as he wanted with it.
Yeah.
But yeah. It happened.
It happened.
To wrap it up. And so
it tied up real quick.
All of a sudden, they're super in love.
Yeah.
Of course, that's in the beginning was dating a cat. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't going so well, I guess.
Let's talk about a cat next.
Let's talk about a cat.
Yeah.
She was great.
Oh, she was great.
She was a total bitch.
They put the best god, like, at the beginning. Like, the best, like, goddess power. Yeah, it was great.
Best boss battle.
Yeah, best boss battle. Perfect.
Yeah. After her, all the other minor gods looked stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was great. So she's the goddess of tattoos. So right off the bat, she's this beautiful, curvy woman covered in tattoos, and her tattoo powers, her tattoos come to life, and she can use them as weapons. And not only that, she ends up having giant wings
that are like made out of tattoos.
That are like that come out of the tattoo. I think
tattoo wings.
Yeah. And they also can be used as weapons, and they basically shoot
all those spikes out.
Yeah.
Or like knives or whatever.
And she's so cool. And this was like a first introductory into seeing fighting in the show, especially like involving Maya. A lot of cool stuff going on there. And she was just interesting. And she was like mean, and she was very jealous and whatnot, but she was
very like petty and like vindictive.
Yes. But she had so much more personality.
Yeah.
Like, she had a lot of personality. It was great.
Yeah. But no honor.
No honor.
And that didn't work for Zatz.
No. They were dating, but he was kind of ashamed of her a little bit, and he really started to see that she fought with no honor, and he was tired of her jealousy.
And ultimately, like, he wasn't getting involved when her and Maya were fighting, but when Maya got her down and then decided not to kill her, and then a cat got back up and chased after Maya, and, they had round 2, Zatz was the one that actually dispatched a cat.
Yeah.
And allowed Maya to get away, basically. And that's a real rough way to break up.
Yeah. He broke up with her right then and there. It was, it was rough.
Yeah.
She's my favorite god, for sure.
Yeah.
She was great. Let's talk about a couple of the other gods that came to thwart Maya.
All right.
We'll go over them a little quickly.
They weren't quite as cool. The side gods. So the next gods she comes across are Kabra Khan and Chipakli, which are some cool celebrity cameos. Kabra Khan was Danny Trejo voiced, and Chipakli was voiced by Rosie Perez. And they were weird.
Yeah.
They're like a married couple of gods. Kabra Khan was the god of earthquakes. Yeah. And Chipakli is the goddess of gators.
Which was interesting.
Sounds cool. But she turns into a alligator with alligator heads on her hands and alligator heads for feet and an alligator head on the tip of her tail. Yeah. And it was just like, guys, come on.
It was just weird.
It's a stretch.
I can see that being actual folklore.
Yeah, this could all be rooted in some kind of cultural
thing. Seeing it in a cartoon, it just did not hit. It looked silly. It did not look scary. And I'm sure they were trying to not make... I think, like, nobody should have looked as scary as Lord Mictlan, first of all. But also, it just, it was a family... they weren't hitting it. She just looked silly. Like a rubbery alligator with alligator hands.
Yeah, she's just too weird.
She could have just been a gator, and I would have been like, okay.
Capricorn looked great.
Yeah, he was cool.
I thought as a character, as like a boss fight in a video game, he would be awesome to fight. Kicking his head around like a soccer ball while it's on fire and just like spinning around and shooting fireballs everywhere for some reason, because that's what earthquakes do.
This is the part that was weird. I thought he looked cool, but I thought the way he did his mechanics did not make sense to me. Like, he was the god of earthquakes, and I never at any time did he like make an earthquake. He kind of shook the earth. He had a lot of
tantrums and stomped on the ground.
Yeah, he stomped on the ground. Any big dude could do that. He made boulders move and stuff, but that's not an earthquake. Yeah, it wasn't really hitting me the way I felt that it should.
His character, the writing like of his character, I thought was terrible.
Yeah,
he was just a whiny baby.
Yeah,
like the whole thing was dumb. Chipakli was fine, and she actually goes against him to save Maya.
Yeah.
Where and this is kind of where you kind of discover that like fear the gods have, because Capricorn definitely wanted to sacrifice Maya himself.
Yeah.
So that he could get the power, and Chipakli stopped him because she was so afraid of Miklan's like wrath that she knew it would be a bad idea.
Yeah, she was like, this just isn't going to work out. It was too risky. She was very humanized by the end and actually basically became an ally.
Yeah.
Which was very interesting. And it was the first time Maya was more able to see her being more human.
Yeah. And then by beating him, Maya somehow saved their marriage.
Yeah.
Which was never, like, that was such a weird thing. That there's so many things they just threw in, like, oh, this will be fun.
They threw in a lot of sub plot. Yeah. Like, some of it was cute, and some of it I was like, this doesn't need to be here.
Yeah. Like, how was their marriage gonna fall? I know they were on different ends of the fence with the killing Maya thing, but was it really like, I don't know, if you smash one more mountain, we're through, and then he gets buried in a well or something, and she's like, oh good, he didn't smash that mountain, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like, it was just, I didn't like it.
I didn't like it either.
Not for me.
No.
The next god we saw would have been Hura and Khan.
Oh yeah, Hura and Khan. Okay.
Yes. So, Cheech Marin, the great Cheech Marin, voiced both Hura and Khan because they're like twin brothers, I guess. Mm-hmm. If you're not putting it together, they're the gods of wind and storms.
Right.
Like hurricanes.
See? I get it.
See what they did there?
I see what
subtle.
They did.
It's very subtle. They were fine.
They were fine.
I didn't care about them at all.
Honestly, they have not made any lasting presence in my mind.
No impact
whatsoever. No positive or negative presence in my mind at all. And again, a lot of the episodes follow the same story. While Maya is traveling, she gets stopped by gods and then she defeats them. Most of it, I think, is to show teamwork building, but it's the same kind of deal every time, that like it's kind of just all gotten whooshed in my head.
Yeah.
Who's next?
Who's next is the group of loyalist gods to Miklan. God of dark magic, Chivo. There's Vukub, the god of jungle animals. Mm-hmm. There were a couple more whose names I did not get.
Okay. They are pretty...
Skull and Bones.
Skull and Bones were the pirate ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these guys come up a little bit later, and then they're pretty important in the final fight. Chivo. Yeah, so he wields dark magic. So him, and especially in contrast to Rico, who we will get to. We'll get to
we haven't even got to Rico. We're talking about all these guys.
The comrades, yeah. So basically, they're the closest henchmen that really, they come in near the end, and then they fight very closely with Lord Miklan in the final battles.
Yeah. Vuku, god of jungle animals.
He was
important to note that he was voiced by Eric Bauza.
Yes.
The voice of like all the Looney Tunes in Space Jam 2. Toronto boy, I think. Like he's cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
or
he's
like
cool.
Scarborough or something. I don't know. He's from Ontario.
He's from Ontario.
And
yeah.
we like him.
We like him. He was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So the god of the jungle creatures, he's actually pretty cool. You can very much see that he really just wants to act in the interest of all of the animals. Like, he really does not want to follow Lord Miklan, and you really see the humanity in him, quote unquote.
Humanity. He's an animal.
He's an animal. He's a really cool, majestic bird that has a gold head and
like 6 eyes.
And like 3 eyes on each side. Yeah. He always has that kind of flat,
like a profile
view, like, of him,
which is a weird a character thing that they did with a lot of the characters.
Yeah, we'll
Gave
have to
them,
talk
like,
about that.
Profile face.
Yeah.
You know, humans.
I
With
think to
both
kind of look
nostrils
like
on one side of their nose,
Yeah.
so that you're. Doesn't matter which side of their face you're seeing, you see both nostrils very clearly.
Yeah.
Like, just slapped on the side.
It's an old, I think it's both a reference, maybe, this is my interpretation, is like it's maybe a reference to runes and stuff, as well as a reference to like old cartoons.
Line art kind of stuff.
Yeah.
As well as a big nod to like the Ren and Stimpy style.
Yeah, Ren and Stimpy style, like
'cause they're
crazy.
Weird, like
Those crazy
gross,
noses.
bulbous noses with
Yeah.
all those growths on them.
But yeah, let's quickly talk about the comrades.
The Warriors 3?
The Warriors 3.
Okay.
Okay, so Rico.
Rico.
Yeah.
Rooster Wizard.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Rico was once said to be the greatest wizard of all time.
That's right.
And he proves that in this story by being the greatest wizard of all time.
Eventually.
Eventually.
Yeah, he's got a lot of confidence issues.
Yes. So Rico has a very, very famous and not very prevalent stutter.
Yeah.
Which shows up once in a blue moon, and you're like, oh yeah, right, the stutter.
I have a point for that, though.
What's that?
Okay, so he's very traumatized by the thing that happened when he was younger. So he had a stutter when he was a child, right?
Yes.
And then the whole thing where he killed the
Grand
wizard
Brujo.
Grand Brujo, and all of that happened, and he was really afraid. So when he's afraid, especially when he's around those from his past, like Gran Bruja, that's when the stutter comes out. When he is confident and when he's with his friend and he's in his element, he's doing well, there is no stutter. So the stutter comes out when he's nervous again. You'll mostly definitely be able to tell. It's triggered, and it's in the final episode where you can really tell, because he's told his stutter has been gone for quite a while, but then they're in the final battle and he's like trying to protect
team up with Gran Brujo.
Yeah.
Gran Bruja.
Gran Bruja.
He's long dead.
Yeah.
Protecting him.
That's when his stutter comes back.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where he like regains his confidence, and then his stutter goes away again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a testament. It's a reflection of how he's feeling on the inside.
So Rico, outcast in the Luna Islands, because as a young child, when Gran Brujo, who was then leader of the Wizard Council, saw all this potential in him, it was because he had seen him using peasant magic, which is very unstable, and all the wizards in the council fear peasant magic. And I think they consider it like dirty also.
I think so.
Probably mostly because it's so uncontrollable that they are afraid of it.
And they don't have it either, too. So it's probably a bit of a power move as well.
Yeah.
None of them are blessed with peasant magic, and he's the only one left that has it.
Yeah.
They fear that, but they fear him as well.
We never learn about his lineage or anything, only that he was a little orphan boy with peasant magic.
He was so cute.
Yeah. Sad.
But yeah,
sad
it's
boy.
that was a sad, his like little memory.
His
backstory was sad. I cried.
Kids were mean to him.
Kids were mean to him, and he was trying to be good. The only one who believed in him was Gran Brujo, and then he killed him.
Yeah.
Like, that's rough. That is a rough story to come around, and like.
And then Gran Bruja blamed him, so she was like, "Get out of here, you jerk."
Yeah.
And then
there's no wonder he was an outcast.
Estefan, his mighty wizard staff.
Yeah. That he got from Gran Bruja.
Estefan in itself is like a massive character.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
And on that note, there's that scene in the later episodes where Rico is fighting Chivo, the god of dark magic, and Chivo notices that Estefan is broken and repairs it for Rico for some unknown reason, which Rico later pieces together is because without the staff, all he can do is use peasant magic, and Chivo is even afraid of peasant magic.
Yeah.
Because it's so powerful.
So he was willing to give him back regular magic.
Yeah.
In order to like hope that he would use that instead of peasant magic.
And we like that because Estefan was a great character.
Exactly.
Never said
he needed
shit.
that back. The next character is from
the Skull.
The Skull. She's from the jungle.
From the Jungle Lands. The mighty Skull Archer, Chimi. Love Chimi. Voiced by Stephanie Beatrice, who is Rosa Diaz on Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Nice.
Amazing character. Mm-hmm. And she's just amazing.
The voice of
someone else
in the newest Disney movie.
Oh, she's like Luisa, or is that her name?
No,
Luisa?
She's the main in Encanto. She's Mirabel.
Oh, she's the main character?
Yeah.
Really?
She's
I had
Mirabelle.
no idea. I didn't even know. I haven't looked up any of the voices in Encanto except for Lin-Manuel.
Right, of course. I was watching a little thing and I saw that she's the voice of Mirabelle. And
No
I love
way.
it. Yeah.
Am I going to watch it again now?
Uh-huh. Yeah, you do.
Yes. Encanto's great. We're not talking about
Yeah,
that.
we'll talk about that another day.
Yeah, super great. Love her. Love Chimmy. Tell us what Chimmy's backstory is.
So Chimmy's backstory is they called her, what did they call her? The Monstro Blanco. Because she's also like albino. And she just basically, as a child, she just scared everybody.
Well, and
everybody
her mother
was afraid
died
of her.
in childbirth, right?
Her mother died in
coming
childbirth.
Out, the only albino that these people have ever seen,
Mm-hmm.
who also killed her mother on childbirth, like they deemed her as cursed,
Yes.
and they cast her out immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She grew up in the forest, and she was like raised by monkeys and forest animals in general. So she's pretty cool because she can talk to all different kinds of animals. She tends to walk on all fours a lot of the time. And she also became the greatest archer ever existed, basically. Which is pretty cool.
So yeah, she's pretty cool. I like
Yeah.
her. Like her a lot.
Chimmy's super cool.
Being raised by animals, she's always scrounging around on all fours, sniffing at people, and howling and doing weird stuff. Mm-hmm. Super great.
Yeah, it's great. It's adorable. Yeah. And one of her biggest journey that she wants to make, and the whole reason why she agrees to join with Maya, is she wants to meet Lady Micte because she wants her to introduce her to her dead mother.
Yes.
She wants to apologize. She feels like a worthless human being because she killed her mother, basically. She believes that it is all her fault. So she's kind of had that troubling on her, and she's just lives to worship Lady Micte because she just wants to meet her mother so badly.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if worship is like the right word.
Well, she had a shrine for her, and she paints her face to look like Lady Micte.
I stand corrected.
That's yes. So.
Yeah, she was out there as a character. She was great, though. And then there was only one left. Pichu, the barbarian warrior puma.
Yeah. He's adorable.
Pichu was great.
Yeah.
He didn't resonate with me. Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias, which was cool. I found Pichu was kind of... I didn't get anything out of his character. I
didn't until the end. In the beginning, I was like, okay, it's another silly guy that they're kind of marking off as kind of dumb. He's barbarian, and he just is like silly barbarian. His backstory like is sad. Like all of them, they all have really horrible backstories. So basically, I felt like his was more sad because he had a really good family life. Yeah, he did. Yeah. Him and his other barbarian family members, they were always happy and together. And then one day, these people came and invaded his land. And he had the leader in his grasp, and he showed mercy. Because that's the kind of barbarian that he is. He was about to take her out, and she begged for mercy. Exactly. And he gave her mercy. And in turn, she killed his family in front of him. Came back, and not in front of him. He woke up and they were already dead. Yes. I think, I mean, she had their helmets like on stakes, which I think was like the kid way of showing that she'd beheaded them. Maybe. Like, I think that was what that was supposed to represent, but they weren't actually there because this is a kid show. You can't have gore. But it was... Either way, she killed the shit out of them. She killed the parents. She terrorized the city. She took over, and she told him, this is because you showed mercy. This is your fault. Yeah. And that's your character weakness, is showing mercy. Yeah. And from then on, he was convinced that it was all his fault. Yeah. His parents' death were on his hands. So then he spent like years on this waterfall cliffside just fighting mist. Yeah. Just having hallucinations. Yeah, he was hallucinating the leader over and over and over again and fighting her when he was really just like fighting the misty air. Yeah. It was sad. Shadows, basically. Yeah. But then Maya and the two came and found him and convinced him to join their crew. Which was very easy because he just wanted an honorable death. That's all he wanted. He wanted to fight, and he knew that He never could just
like a
take
battle I can't win, I'm in.
He knows that if he took his own life, he wouldn't go to the same place as he would with an honorable death. And the place that he would go if he had an honorable death would be the place that his parents were in.
Yeah.
So he had
Valhalla.
Basically,
maybe.
yeah.
Who knows?
Pretty much.
Pretty far removed from Mesoamerican culture, but we don't know.
But a similar concept.
We haven't mentioned, which we did want to mention before, how Jorge Gutierrez had talked about all the research he'd done into all the Mesoamerican cultures.
Yes.
And how he was just kind of applying all of it into this. So not taking from one thing, but layering it.
Layering it like a lasagna.
Yeah, like a big televised lasagna.
Yeah. Which I can really see in the series because there's just so much going on.
Yeah.
And I think that while was really cool, may have also been what led to
confusion.
The confusion and the pacing
of
the show, which maybe we can talk about now.
We still have so many more characters.
Do we though?
I mean, we got to talk about Choppa because he was
Choppa.
best.
Basically, he was the Tekken Jaguar, and he was super cute.
Yeah, he was like the warrior jaguar, which was very, very heavily influenced by He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
Yeah.
The duality of like Cringer and Battle Cat. He-Man's, pet tiger as Prince Adam was like a cowardly cat, but then when he became He-Man, his cat would get this armor and become fearless Battle Cat. Yeah. So this is kind of a juxtaposition of that, where Choppa was this big, fierce spirit jaguar, basically, that became traumatized, very much in the same way as Hulk in the Avengers.
Yeah.
Got traumatized by Thanos and then wouldn't come out. And then anytime there was any sign of danger, Choppa would just take off and abandon everybody and go hide in the woods somewhere.
Yeah.
And that was a recurring theme through like the entire show until the very end.
Yeah. He was poor kitty.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
And then he'd always come back and, pretend he was brave. And then as soon as something went down, he would disappear again.
Yeah. It was pretty cute.
And then they'd all shout at him. It was great.
Choppa, you can't just keep running away.
I love Choppa.
He's like, heck yeah, I can. Watch me.
Yeah.
And I guess we brought up Lord Miklan a lot.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about Miklan or Mikte too much.
I mean, so obviously Lord Miklan, not a ton of backstory other than he is the god of war. As it sounds, he can just smite an entire army just like that.
Yeah. And he's voiced by Alfred Molina.
Yeah.
It was super cool.
His character
Dr. Octopus.
Yeah. His character design is definitely something to take note. He has...
Miklan is a very heavy character design.
Very heavy character. I don't know who rigged that guy. I don't know how they managed to animate all of his things. He's, again, similar build to King Tekka. Very,
he's all upper body.
Upper body. But he also has these giant...
pauldrons.
Yeah, these giant beams on his shoulders with their dragon faces on them. And then swinging from these beams of wood are these whole skeletons. And I believe that, this is really trying to push to the size relationship. These are whole adult humans hanging from him, and they're so small compared to him.
Yeah. Their feet don't touch the ground.
Yeah. So he's that big.
Yeah.
There's also 666 skulls on his character, something we just recently learned, so that's an interesting tidbit.
We didn't count them ourselves.
No.
We took the director's word for it.
Yeah. And he also has this mechanic where his head is made up of two smaller heads.
Two faces that just profile together.
Yeah, to make one face. And you'll understand when you see, obviously, but it's very interesting the way that they kind of handled that, and it's definitely very unsettling.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure was the point.
Yeah.
And it worked. It's very unsettling.
It was beautiful. He's a pretty two-dimensional character.
Yeah.
He's got the power. He wants the power.
That's all he wants.
He needs the power. He gets the power.
Yeah. And he's completely ruthless. In the very last episode, we see him consuming the hearts of all of his followers.
Yeah.
All the people that have helped him get here. He's all like, yep, you served your purpose. Now you're dead. Yeah. And he takes on their heart, and it makes him even bigger and stronger.
Yeah. until he becomes that giant two-headed snake thing.
Yeah, his final form.
Yeah.
And then obviously, like, we touched on his wife, Lady McDay. She's the goddess of death. She's beautiful character design. She mostly looks like kind of like a skeleton. She's got all of that makeup on.
Very Day of the Dead-y.
Yeah. And she also, when she's in the underworld, she wears this like also massive headdress with skeletons hanging from it.
Yeah. Smaller skeletons though.
Yeah.
Like...
Smaller skeletons and still adorned with like flowers and stuff. And in the beginning, you know, we think that she's just as evil as her husband, and then later we find that she has, you know, humanity and love for her daughter.
Passion.
Yeah. And I'm going to segue right into the plot twist at the end that I had predicted about Lady McTay.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
This is a big point of contention in the beginning of the show.
Yeah. So, basically, first episode, when Maya is getting ready for her...
After being reprimanded by her mom.
Yeah. She gets dressed in all of her coronation makeup by this handmaiden who she's never met before, supposedly. She's like an unknown character. She doesn't have a name, but their very tiny short interaction had me thinking, she's important. We're going to see her again. Rich did not have the same feeling.
I remember you even saying, like, oh, I bet, like, she's her mother. And I was like, that's stupid.
Yeah. I even said that. I was like,
stupid.
Because we found out first episode that Maya's mother wasn't her real mother, and I was like, I bet that's her mother. And you were like, no, that's ridiculous. And it took till second last episode, I think, to find out that Lady McTay, goddess of death, the true mother of Maya, had been taking on forms throughout Maya's life in order to find ways to check in on her and be there for her and like even
always
like raise her a little bit.
Handmaiden.
Yeah. Oh, is this some kind of like unknown character? She probably couldn't be there all the time because she had her goddess of death duties and she had to do it in secret. But yeah, she was always looking out for her. And I was right.
And it was stupid, right, guys? So I was right also, because it was stupid.
It was great.
No, it was good. It was good. It made sense. They tied it up.
Yeah.
Nicely, like
very
that.
Nicely.
It's good that you feel good about yourself.
I do. I feel good about myself.
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
That happened. We haven't talked about Apush. Rita Moreno, she was great. Apush. She's just this weird lady coughing up butterflies all over the place. Totally out to lunch. Shows up here and there at random times, and she always seems to know a lot more about the world than anybody else. Mm-hmm. And then in the end, she jumps in a volcano and goes for a swim. It's strange.
Yeah, she's an interesting character. She's like, she's watching over Maya. She's like her little fairy godmother. Her little crazy fairy godmother.
Yeah.
She's weird, but we love her.
Yeah, it was very weird. And all of a sudden there was three of her and they never explained it. And I think maybe she's like the Fates or something, but like she's definitely some kind of omniscient presence. You know, she's tapped into everything. She's part of nature, and she even showed up in the underworld. Mm-hmm. Nobody seemed to question that. I had questions. They did not get answered.
No. But yeah, she was there from the very beginning and showed up, pretty frequently.
And she always knew the real prophecy.
Always knew the real prophecy, and she was kind of just there to guide and help Maya in very small ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Is there anybody else really important we want to talk about before we get into like pacing and things like that?
No, that's all the people.
Okay.
Well, we haven't talked about the Barbarian King or the Widow Queen, but we don't care about that.
No, I don't think that's important.
But the Widow Queen...
I mean, the Widow Queen's pretty cool.
They never explained why she's the Widow Queen.
I want to know why this seemingly child...
She is a very tiny little girl.
She is a tiny little girl called the Widow Queen, and it is because all the men around her die. And why didn't they talk about that?
So my theory...
Okay.
Is that it was her father killing any man who would talk to her before he died. He was crazy. Also, Jorge Gutierrez. But he was pretty nuts. He was the one that cast out Jimmy, and he was very savage. He was just... He was loony and savage, and that's a bad combination. And I think, anyone that showed any kind of connection whatsoever to the Widow Queen, he probably had them killed, disappeared them immediately.
Yeah.
That's my theory. Because the Widow Queen was a very sweet little girl.
Yeah.
She had tons of compassion.
Yeah.
And she was just a cutie pie.
And personality, and she was just...
That's all. Barbarian King, nobody cares.
Yeah. It's at the end of the day, they're not as important. The Grand Bruja is kind of important.
She's just she's supposed to be kind of wizened. She wasn't. She was an ignorant prick.
Her grief really held her back from seeing things the way that they were.
Yeah.
And although she did take it out on Rico.
She did have that, when Maya first went to her to try to recruit her as the Rooster Wizard, her whole speech putting Maya in her place was very, very poignant.
Yes. Very accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That was great.
You expect us to all help you because of your family's problems, because of your father's indiscretions. Yeah. That was...
Yeah, totally fair.
She knows what's up.
Yeah, she's like, I'm not going to fight the God of War.
Yeah.
Why would I do such a thing? And I mean, it's important to note that they all came to help.
Anyways.
Yeah. In the end, everyone came to help. We'll round off the plot really quickly here. In the final episodes, everyone comes back to the Kingdom of Tekka. There is a great battle that ensues where Lord Miklan has finally come up to do the job himself. During battle, while he is kind of losing... He's not getting through as fast as he thought he would.
Yeah.
He starts eating all of his emissaries' hearts in order to gain, practically omnipotent power. And it is clear and also been told to us many times at this point that Maya is the only one that can kill him because she is the demigod of death. So he turns into this, double-headed dragon snake guy.
Yeah, just a big serpent with two heads.
Yeah. Kind of made out of stone, sort of. Or something?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, he was large enough anyways.
So everyone's kind of helping fight him, and then Maya in the end...
And he breathes fire.
And then in the end, Maya had to enter one of his heads to get to his core, which is his heart, to destroy him.
Yes. And of course, she jumps into one of his mouths, being followed by the other snake head.
Yeah.
Ending in that iconic, serpent eating itself.
Yeah. Which was pretty cool.
Imagery. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And, important to note that even though this was a family series and whatever, it followed the story that she died.
Yeah.
Maya died. Zatz died.
Yeah. Pichu died.
Pichu died. We didn't talk about Pichu dying.
Someone's got to talk about Pichu. Pichu died.
Pichu died. Moving on. That was a surprise, you're thinking because she was so omnipotent this whole time, they all made it through all of the things all this time. In the end, Maya dies, Zatz dies, lots of them die.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy. But because of her sacrifice, she gets gifted the greatest honor of all, which is to be the sun. Zatz gets to be the moon. And then
every day at dawn and dusk, they get to see each other.
They get to see each other and dance for the rest of time. I didn't like this. Mostly for one thing, because I was like, how does this work? If you're the sun and he's the moon, you guys will never be able to really see. You can see each other from afar. You're never going to be able to be together. Yeah. The sun and the moon can't be together. To me, that would have been torture.
Yeah.
The love of her life is to be the moon and to be the opposite end of the earth than her. I don't know.
Yeah, it's sad.
That, to me, I was like, man, that's cruel. But they seemed happy about it. Maybe they can, be in human form or sort of and leave their sun and moon and go and hang out with each other in the stars. I don't know.
No, they can't do that. they can't.
But, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the sun's always on, even when you don't see it, right? It's on somewhere else.
It's on somewhere.
So she's got a 24/7 job that she has to be there for.
Yeah.
And his job, as is so often the case, is just to reflect her radiance back on the world. He doesn't get his time to shine, right?
Yeah. It's fine.
Which would be great if she was a quality character.
Yeah.
But she kind of sucked.
Yeah,
he was
kind
a
of.
better character than
yeah,
she was.
Zaz was really cool. But at the end of the day,
Bless you, Cat.
they were happy about it. They got what they wanted. So cool.
Yeah.
But yeah.
They got what they wanted.
But it was interesting to like have them end the story that way.
Let's talk about love.
All right, let's talk about love.
Rico and Jimmy. They were cute.
Rico and Jimmy. And of course the love triangle.
With
Rico
Pichu. And
Pichu.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cute. I mean, they really like...
It was cheesy and
it was
sucked,
cheesy
but
and
was
it
cute.
threw it in.
Yeah.
But it was cute. I much preferred their little like...
She always seemed to kind of favor Pichu until he killed himself.
Yeah.
And she was like, hey, Rico.
Yeah.
Like, it was... You always knew it was going to happen, but it wasn't well put together. But it was still cute.
No, and again, the layers of plot just got to a point where they were just trying so many angles all at once, and the story was going so fast. You didn't get to like settle on any particular idea.
Yeah.
Or any particular subplot. I'm glad it was in there.
Yeah.
Wasn't necessarily executed the way I would have liked.
Yeah.
But I do prefer that than the way they did Maya and Zaz.
Yeah.
That wasn't great.
Well, and then you've got King Tekka and Queen Tekka, and their 4 children have now died. But over the course of this show, Queen Tekka also became pregnant, and in the end gave birth to twins.
Yeah.
Which they decided to name Jaguar and Eagle.
Yeah.
Which are terrible children names. Don't name your kids these things.
I mean, they named their kids Sword, Shield, and Dagger, so...
Yeah. Lance, Shield, and Dagger.
Yeah, Lance, Shield, and Dagger.
Yeah.
So, it's what it is.
Yeah. Bad choices.
Yeah.
Bad choices all around.
And they were like, Eagle for you, Maya. And she was like, ah. And I'm like...
Yeah. That's great.
You could have just called her Maya.
Yeah, that would have been Maya too.
Yeah, Maya Jr. But whatever.
I do want to say, as far as Maya and Zoe Saldana's voice acting, I didn't love it.
No?
I thought there were a lot of times where her voice acting just pulled me right out of the story. It didn't seem to fit with the situation. It was not great.
Okay.
Like most people, I was on board with, but there were a lot of times where her, like, it was just...
You just weren't having it for it?
I was not.
Fair enough.
Not for me. Yeah, she sucked.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
No, she was good a lot of the time. But there were times that she was not good.
Yeah, fair enough.
No, I don't know.
I didn't have any strong feelings either way. I liked Rico's voice acting.
Rico was pretty good.
And I mean Gran Bruja, obviously.
Yeah, Gran Bruja was good too.
The pace of the whole show was very, very fast. We found that very prevalent in all of the episodes, where just a lot of stuff happening, and it's constantly going, almost to the point of like, it was slightly anxiety inducing. It was just very quick and fast, and there was just so much going on. I think they just wanted to hit so many points, and it just felt rushed.
Agreed.
Yeah.
They didn't plan. I think they put way too much time and emphasis into researching all of the lore of all of the different like Mesoamerican cultures and trying to amalgamate them all and like marry them in a way that would work for everyone and still be original. And they didn't put enough time or effort into like fleshing out that story.
Yeah.
And the proper character development that would have really sold it to, to be more relatable to more people kind of thing.
I agree. That's why they had to spoon feed a lot of it to you.
Yeah.
Like, and by that we mean one of the characters, mostly Maya, would literally be telling you the story.
Yeah.
She'd be telling you what was going on. And it happened especially a lot in like this, I think it was the second episode when she found out the new prophecy when her brothers had died, and she was like watching as they were like communicating, which really I think it was actually like Apush who was doing it, but...
Oh, the communicating thing? You
Yeah.
think that was Apush?
Well, Apush was in the background watching.
She was.
And I was wondering if she kind of made the gold trickle
Well, that did
down.
happen, like when a butterfly landed on the monument.
Yeah.
But I still think it was her brothers too. Like, they're around. They came back later.
They did come back later.
Oh, cool. Whenever there's a plot point that they want you to be aware of, someone will vocalize it very clearly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just a little too much.
Yeah. We should probably do some geeking out about actual animation.
Right? The reason we're here.
Yes.
Well, Maya and the 3 is a 3D show.
Yes.
Very obviously. However,
neither of us are huge into 3D.
Not really.
But
it
was good.
Was made by Tangent Animation. It's not like a Disney, it's not a Pixar. So, yeah, it's not a Disney or Pixar show. It was amazing quality for what it was, considering from my, like, it wouldn't have the kind of marketing and hype that something from, like, a bigger place like Disney and stuff. Like, the people who really are the leaders in 3D animation right now.
Yeah, and it still did have a lot of, like, shine to it.
You and I were big on 2D. Now, I know of 3D stuff that I love that I'm like, yeah, like, it looks beautiful and everything. But we're mostly 2D people. However, the one thing I didn't like with the 3D aspect of Maya and the 3 is the fact that they all looked like toys. And apparently that was purposeful.
Yeah.
They were meant to look like toys.
Understandable.
Yeah. Which is fine. Like, Jorge Gutierrez is very much into toys. They're very much into action figures and stuff like that. And you could see it because you would look at them and you're like, I could just pluck them out. Like, if they actually made, which I'm sure they have, action figures of the characters in the show, they would look identical.
Yes.
There would be no need for,
they have not.
Any design.
We saw an interview where they said that they have not.
They have not. Okay. So there's no, that's unfortunate.
There are no toys. But they did definitely design them with toys in mind.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So in their own right, they did it. They're well animated. They don't move like toys. They just, like, it's not like Toy Story where they move like toys.
You know, when you think of a side god like Kabra Khan who, like, spins around and, like, throws his head, like, you could easily make that into a working toy. And
yeah.
I feel like from that kind of thing, he was kind of taking the influence from, like, the Mesoamerican lore and from, like, Masters of the Universe idealism also, where Masters of the Universe basically created this whole world through Mattel. They were creating this whole thing based on what dumb toys they could sell to kids and how they could sell them to kids.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of these characters, like they made them so that they could be toys. And you could, like, you know, pop their head off and throw it around.
Which is fair. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, kids probably really love the toy look, the whole thing, the way that they look like toys and stuff. Kids probably love that.
Yeah.
And I mean, when they zoomed into the characters, they didn't only look like plasticky toys. Like, they still had the sheen on their skin. They still had the fuzz. It wasn't perfect, flat, plasticky toy.
Yeah.
Except King Tekka's hat that I hated. Hated it so much.
Hated his dumb eagle helmet?
His beak on his helmet that literally looked like plastic.
It's a resin.
You say like resin, but I'm like, they wouldn't have made that. That's just ridiculous.
No, they would have. They did all kinds of stuff with cool resins. I made that up, but it sounds real.
I hated it. It really looks like plastic and really drove home that toy aspect. Quality. It just took me out a little bit. The character designs are really cool. There's a lot of contrast in the characters.
So much variety, yeah.
So much variety
between the different characters, different peoples.
Yeah. They got, you know, big guys like King Tekka, and then they got Maya, and, like, a lot of the women warriors that are, like, small build up top and big build in the lower bottom area. They got
thick power thighs.
Could squeeze the life out of any barbarian.
You got a lot of, like, skinny, like, Incan tribal, like, archers.
Yeah.
Very, like, head on a pole, basically.
Yeah.
Then you got those guys like the ref in the fighting pit, who was basically a potato with arms and legs.
Yeah.
It was great. You got the Grand Bruja, who's just a big hump with, like, a giant nose that sticks out 4 feet.
That Ren and Stimpy nose.
Yeah.
That was interesting. And, like,
nose of nightmare fuel.
Well, and, like, noses on a lot of them were just super weird. That's where they really pushed that cartoony weirdness. Yeah. Like, they were getting weird with some characters, which I liked. Like, it was cool. Yeah. I don't hate it. Yeah, so that was interesting. And again, that, like, profile view where the Gran Bruja or, like, the Jungle God, where their head is always kind of in profile view,
You can always see both nostrils.
You can always see both nostrils, and then they flip, and then it's the same on the other side.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure that would have been interesting to deal with animating.
Mickey Mouse treatment.
Yeah. I'm sure that would have been interesting to try and, animate.
Yeah, it's nice, I'm sure, to have those situations where, you have to cheat.
Yeah. For sure.
How do I do this? I just cheat it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't even matter.
And then, do you want to talk about the 2D that was in the show? Because there was 2D in the show.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful 2D sequences.
Yeah.
Not anytime they went into a backstory, only in the first couple episodes, really.
They didn't do as much 2D later on.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
It is.
They started it in 2D.
Yeah. So, as a storytelling mechanism, in the beginning, when Maya is speaking about the prophecy and laying down the premise, basically, the whole kind of sequence is shot in a 2D kind of paper cutout style.
Yeah.
That was really beautiful.
Yeah.
Then we cut a little later in the first episode to her three brothers bringing her gifts for her quinceañera that they all got. And as they're explaining how they each got her a gift, it goes into another style of 2D kind of cutout animation where they are all 3D characters on this weird paper 2D background that also looked beautiful.
Yeah.
Then I believe in the next episode where Maya is explaining her plans to go on her quest after discovering the real prophecy. She's explaining to her parents, and that whole thing is done in a super cute 2D sticker, chibi sticker cutout style that is also beautiful.
Yeah. Sticker Star, Paper Mario.
Cute. Yeah, love those.
That was great. And I think that was really pushing forward. This is the plan and the imagination of a child. This is a child trying to illustrate a plan in their mind, and this is what it would look like.
That's why they made that one as juvenile as possible.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Because she's, she's 15. She's 15. She's still a kid. So,
yeah.
It's young teen, but still. Yeah, that was really cool. And I think, for the most part, they did a lot of special effects and stuff. Some with sort of more flat 2D. They did a lot of, video game inspired stuff.
And comic book style effects.
Yeah.
For sure. There were a lot of cool, always in the fight sequences.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool, swooshes or, impacts.
Yeah, swooshes, impacts, different camera angles in pieces on the screen.
Oh, yeah, doing that comic book,
comic
panel.
Book, yeah. Yeah, panel.
Panel pans, basically, yeah. Yeah, that was cool.
That was cool. If they were, running really fast, they'd make all the speed lines go by.
Yeah.
And again, notice, maybe, I don't know if it's just because I noticed this stuff more in the beginning, or it was more prevalent in the beginning than later on in the series, this kind of stuff. I enjoyed all of this stuff. I thought it was cool. But a part of me wishes that, if they had just kind of stuck to one theme, one extra thing to make the 3D filming cool. It's like they were trying to go a lot of different ways.
Well, yeah.
Because you can almost forget about them because there's so many different things that they did. They did the 2D flat stories. They did the video game stuff where they title card introduced every, underworld character.
Yeah.
But they didn't do it for the other characters. And then they did, the video gamey speedline stuff.
Yeah.
They did the x-ray shots of, Maya's arm being broken.
Yeah.
Which was a big theme.
Did a whole bunch of times. Yeah.
She dislocated the same arm, 4 times.
Well, I mean, once you can dislocate it, you can dislocate it, right? I mean, that was her thing, is, she got a trick shoulder, and she can use it to her advantage.
Yeah.
And one thing that you pointed out early on in the series that you loved was the frame breaking.
Yeah.
This was shot in a widescreen with the black bars on the top and bottom, but at every point throughout the show, they were a part of the layout, basically.
So to really push that exaggeration, you see it in the very first episode. King Tekka goes, da, da, da. And on the third da, his whole head pops forward in front of the black edges of the screen.
Yeah.
Whoa, that kind of 3D thing. And it's so fast that on a first, you won't even necessarily notice it.
I didn't notice. I want to say that I may have not even noticed the whole time had you not pointed it out early.
Yeah.
But at the end, they used it way too much.
Yeah.
Like they overused it to the point that I was like, give it a rest. Like,
yeah.
I'm not enjoying this anymore.
Yeah.
Like it's not giving me anything. Like just stop.
They overdid it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they could have, at first it was pretty cool and they could have kept it, you know, really tasteful and appealing, but then they just, they pushed it too hard. Yeah.
Yeah. These are all cool mechanics, but you don't normally see so many all in like one thing.
Yeah.
And I think maybe they were just trying to do too many things, trying to do too many plot lines, trying to get too many characters in and gods in, trying to get just so many mechanics in. Like there's just too much. When you have
a series where your entire last episode, and you've got like basically hour-long episodes, and the whole last episode is a battle.
Yeah.
You know, you're thinking like, oh, well, we put these things in whenever it's a big action sequence. Well, there's a whole hour of action sequence.
Yeah.
So if you're going to keep putting these things in, it's going to get tiresome pretty quick.
Well, it's going to lose, it's going to lose all of the sparkle and all of the thing that made it cool in the beginning.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Something like Spider-Verse has very clear themes, and they use new mechanics that like a lot of people hadn't used before, and they put all those like comic book fun stuff.
I didn't like Spider-Verse at all.
What?
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Spider-Verse was great. It's a whole other
it's a whole other beast,
category.
But like as an example, they used the theme and they used it throughout. And they just
they had that
picked
consistency. One. Everything was very Yeah.
I mean, it had multiple mechanics. The main ones were used consistently and they had purpose.
Spider-Verse was a masterpiece. Yeah. I don't want anybody emailing us about
what
this.
What doesn't Rich like Spider-Verse?
Yeah, this was very busy. It was convoluted.
Yeah.
It got muddy. You know,
it got pretty. It really dragged through in the middle.
They had so many different things that they were doing, and they all could have been pretty cool, but they just it just wasn't handled well.
Yeah,
and I don't know if that's the director's fault or if that's individual, like supervisors or department managers along the way who were. But it was just too much.
I think it was just...
I thought it didn't work altogether.
I think it was too ambitious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just too ambitious. And, go big or go home, I guess.
It's not Jorge's first project. It's not like he needed to put all his eggs in that basket.
Yeah.
Like, he's been doing a lot of stuff. I don't know why he just, Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little too much. Still enjoyed the series. Glad I watched it. It was interesting to analyze because they brought in so much stuff.
Yeah. You feel like you're drowning in techniques.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before it became tiring, I did like that they popped out of frame. You really liked
some of the comic booky lines.
Yeah. Yeah, and the take on Maya's dislocated arm in the beginning.
Yeah, I like that dislocated arm thing. I like the way when her and a cat were fighting and they were running around the tree, and it was just showing the backs of them running after each other, but all these speed lines were arcing around, so you knew that they were running around a cylinder. I thought that was cool.
They had that rolling floor grid.
Yeah. That was well used.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of really cool things, a lot of cool fighting, a lot of cool
cool weapons
stuff, cool weapons, some cool effects. It was cool.
Well, and something we didn't mention too is that the weapons, which again I think this was a very thrown together idea, but the weapons of Maya and the three all became golden talismans by the end.
They were all enchanted and,
Which made no sense other than the fact that they were that because that was part of the prophecy. There was no necessary reason. Maya, the Eagle Warrior weapons, they all kind of glow, kind of based on, the fight in you and everything. Which is cool. All the glowing weapons and stuff were cool. But the fact that the other people's weapons glowed, it made no sense. They never explained it.
Yeah, well, Chimmy acquired this super special bow that the King of the Jungle Lands had.
Yeah.
That for some reason he had and was going to give to the best warrior, and she ended up being the best warrior. And then he was like, "Oh, it's that stupid albino. We're not going to give it to her." And then she just took it by force because she's a badass.
And then what was Pichu's again?
Pichu's was just his dead parents' axes. He just picked them up,
and they were glowing,
and then they were magical.
Yeah.
And of course, Rico's Stefan,
Yeah.
which was a great character, and in his own right, Stefan should be the greatest staff of all time.
And it should glow, but should it have glown gold like everyone else's? I don't think so, because his peasant magic is purple.
Yeah.
They kind of they brought it at the very end. They were like, get out your talismans. And they, like, the camera pan and had all of the faces together and with their weapon, and they were all glowing gold. And I was like, no, you threw this together. Again, like, just a lot of little things that they just threw in there, and this was all fed to us, you know?
Yeah.
It wasn't any kind of cool, we didn't come to like, the realization that they have all of their weapons are actually like golden glowing talismans for this reason. Yeah. It was just said that that's what it was.
Yeah. Like, are they going to have a spin-off show now where they explain the origin of the weapons? Like,
yeah.
They were all forged by Apush in the heart of the volcano or something stupid. Like,
Apush.
Yeah. So we started doing this thing so we could geek out about animation.
Yeah.
And we got a little bit of that. I'm not sold.
No.
If someone was like, hey, should I watch it? I would still say, yeah, watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do star ratings. I'm going to give this thing...
Okay.
3.5 stars.
Out of 5?
Out of 5, yeah. And I'm generous. I'm always too generous. So, like, it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
There were a lot of good elements. But storytelling, I was not impressed. Character development, I was not impressed. I'm a self-proclaimed story nerd with no business being so. But I want to know that I'm getting good story.
Yeah.
And where there was potential to tell the story really well, they missed the mark.
Yeah.
With me, I did not.
It's hard for me because in the beginning I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool. And we were both feeling that.
Yeah, we started off super gung-ho.
Yeah. The middle was definitely slow. I didn't even feel like watching it.
No.
Which sucks. And of course, like we did because we had to finish it. There's very few series where I will stop watching something.
May have just checked right out?
I may have checked out. I may have. Now, it did... While I wasn't a huge fan of the story or how they told the story... It did wrap up in the end, and things were getting better, and it probably helped that, like, Chimi and, like, Pichu, and, like, there were some better characters that I liked. It was a lot less Maya and a lot more everybody else.
Yeah.
And, like, I did cry at the end. Quite a bit. Now, I'm a crier, guys, okay? That's my thing.
You'll cry from a cool breeze.
I cry at a lot of things, especially animated things. They just get me deep in my soul. So I was moved at the end, and just also surprised that they... would actually like kill off the main characters in a kid's show.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I didn't cry. I was moved too. It got me in the feels.
Yeah.
But like undeservedly so, I still think.
Okay.
Like I think, Maya made the ultimate sacrifice to like save the people. I still think she was an asshole. So
fair enough.
It's good. I'm glad she's the son. She does a great job up there. But
I'm gonna give it a 3.
See, even worse than me.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it a 3. And probably only because the end somehow still managed to move me quite a bit.
In spite of itself.
In spite of itself.
Yeah.
Somehow. Because, I mean, it looks good. The characters that aren't Maya are pretty lovable for the most part. Obviously, like, I, like, loved Zatz and, like, was very sad to see him die. So, because of that, it gets a 3 for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would probably tell people, like, friends of mine that like animated things and needed something that was pretty light, I would say, yeah, watch it.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
It's
a short series, and you don't have to...
Got a lot of ideas.
Got a lot of ideas.
Too many ideas.
Too many. It's got good parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Worth watching.
Worth watching.
No, worth rewatching.
No.
And I mean, just to make this podcast, we watched each episode multiple times.
A zillion times. Which probably doesn't help.
For a few in the middle I would have wanted to rewatch and didn't.
Yeah. I think I watched the first 3 episodes like a zillion times.
Yeah, me too.
And then the middle to the end, I just like went through.
And then I watched the last episode 2 times.
Right.
And really thinking it would be better the second time. It wasn't.
No.
It wasn't.
Yeah, I think we can put it to bed now then.
So much, yeah.
Which
Goodbye,
is nice.
Maya and the three. Now that we jumped into that rating thing, but did we have any more to talk about? Things like color scheme? Not really. There were a lot of colors. Very bright. A lot of gold.
Very bright. Very colorful. You know, there's nothing to predict for next season because there is no next season.
What about snappy, cartoony style or realistic? It was pretty realistic and also snappy.
Yeah, pretty realistic. I'd say with movement and everything. I think they really sold weight. Like, just the idea of weight of the characters, like the things that they were holding, even their, like, big, giant earrings and stuff, the way that they moved.
Yeah.
Like, this is getting, you know, animation specific.
Which is why we exist.
Yeah. I could see the weight. I could see the weight in the weapons. I could see the weight in the armor. They did a good job. It was animated beautifully.
Yes.
And
I agree.
If you are into animation for the sake of animation, then that's totally a reason to watch it and to like see the principles in play and to just absorb it all.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah. A lot of really good animation.
Yeah.
A lot of really good techniques. Just way too many.
Just too much.
Yeah. Too many and too overdone.
Yeah. Save a few for your other series.
Yeah.
You know? I think he thought of all of these ideas and used all of them when he should have probably put them on a list and then been like, what's your top 3? Yeah. Not what's your top 20 or whatever it was.
Even like the comedic aspects, like a lot of them were really good. A lot of them were really bad.
Yeah.
There were some terrible jokes.
Yeah.
You know, terrible lines.
Well, thank you so much, everybody, for listening. We really appreciate you being here, and I hope you look forward to more episodes and more series reviews.
Yeah, we don't even know what we're gonna do next, but it's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be awesome. We have so many ideas.
Higher than a 3 for sure.
We just don't know which one will be next.
Yeah, that's it for this episode. It's been moderately amusing.
Moderately amusing. I like that.
Thank you for listening. If you have as much fun with these episodes as we have making them, consider following us on Instagram and Twitter at Evening with an Artist.
Get up-to-date news on future events, episodes, and more.
You can also check out our website, eveningwithanartist.com, for a look at previous recordings, interviewees, news, and upcoming shows.
We would love to hear from you, so send us a DM on Instagram or email us at jordynandrich@eveningwithanartist.com.
Don't forget to join our community on Discord and see where it all started.
Here, you can chat with other members and submit your interview questions.
Did you enjoy the music? All the tunes on our podcast were created by our music man, Dougal Dawson. To learn more about Dougal and listen to an uncut version of the Iwa tunes, you can find him on our website.
If you'd like to support the show, visit the donation page on our website, linked throughout all our social media, to help fund equipment, production, and guest speakers.
Until next time,
I've been Rich.
I've been Jordyn.
And this has been Evening with an Artist.